Developed by Mouldy Toof Studios, The Escapist is a top-down, 2D prison break puzzle role-playing game. This is the second game developed by Mouldy Toof, the first being Spud's Quest from last year. Currently in early access on Steam, The Escapist has no firm release date, but the developer has suggested it will see an official release in early to mid-2015. It is being developed for both the PC and the Xbox One. The charming sprites that fill the world of The Escapist are simple and effective. This is a game that eschews the gritty realism of prison life in favor of a light-hearted tone. Bringing everything down to a 16-bit art style allows the player to focus more on tasks at hand, in this case attempting to break out of a prison, without having to worry about maneuvering a three-dimensional camera or your character's line of sight. There are multiple prisons in the game, and the environments all feel unique, ranging from an almost inviting minimum security prison to a jungle camp to an Arctic base. All of these prisons have their own personalities, in big part due to the unique scenery. Chiptunes are abundant in The Escapist. The soundtrack is pleasant and brings a good amount of atmosphere to the title. A lot of the tracks are a bit on the moody side and adds a sense of dread and monotony to the game that work well to set the tone of prison life. It does a good job of portraying the feeling of confinement. While the tracks are good, there's only a limited number of them, around 6 or 8, but this actually works to the game's advantage later on. Because while at first you may find the new music to be sweet, as you play the game and you start to put your time in, the allure of the magic starts to wear off. It's no longer new, it's no longer fresh. The routine of what music is going to play and at what times does not change, and this routine begins to bear down on you. Imagine going to work every day at the same time every day, and the same music plays every day at those same exact times. At first it's not going to be bad, but after a few days and weeks and maybe a month, you're going to hate that music. The Escapist's limited soundtrack and expedited time quickens this process. You begin to resent the music, not because it's bad, but because every time you hear this song, it's a reminder of your captivity, and in a game where the goal is to escape, it's a reminder of your failure. The story is as bare bones as can be. You're a prisoner. You want to escape. Period. There is no overarching plot to speak of, there's no maiden in danger, no one is waiting for you on the outside. What little story there is told through random dialogue boxes above the prisoners' and guards' heads. Now the guards' dialogue will change depending upon what prison you're playing in, so at a minimum security prison, their dialogue is very friendly and cordial, but at a maximum security prison, their lines become aggressive and oftentimes insulting. The prisoners' dialogue is purely random, to the point where I ran into instances of individual prisoners talking about themselves in the third person. This game both shines and shoots itself in the foot when it comes to its gameplay. What's here is a strong base for an effective and satisfying puzzle game with RPG elements. The problem is that core gameplay mechanics are not fully explained in the tutorial. There's no instruction manual to speak of in the game, and it forces you to look elsewhere for explanation on how the game's items work. Why are some items' names red and others' names are green? It's not explained in the game. Can you consume items, and if so, how do you do this? Not explained. What are the functions of the items that you pick up around the prison? No idea. Hopefully Mouldy Toof can either expand upon the existing tutorial in the future, create proper item descriptions, or write an in-game instruction manual for this game in the future. Because once you get past the unnecessary learning curve, the game becomes much more enjoyable. This is a puzzle game at heart with RPG elements layered on top. Your prime objective is to escape, but how you do that is up to you. There are numerous ways to break out of each level with varying degrees of difficulty. Do you want to use the ventilation system to roam around the prison unseen and get closer to the exit? Do you want to wait until nightfall and tunnel your way out? These are all viable options, and there are more. The issue again is that the ways to go about doing this is never explained in the game. The only two items the game actually tells you how to use are the shovel and the screwdriver, and both of these are self-explanatory items. But did you know that you can use a fork to chisel through the walls? Had I not watched a run-through, I would have never known this. I'm fine with watching a video to seek the solution to a puzzle. I'm not okay with having to watch a third-party video to learn core gameplay mechanics. As stated earlier, there are many ways to escape from the prisons in the game, and at the end of each successful escape, the player is scored based upon the days it takes, average heat from the guards, and the total playtime. This gives you incentives to replay prisons and try and top your high score and conquer the online leaderboards. Currently, the game comes with 2 custom prisons and 5 developer-made prisons, with at least one more on the way. If you're a completionist and you like a good amount of challenges, there's a lot to do here. The Escapist is once again in early access, so there's still time to improve upon what's already here. What you get right now is an enjoyable 2D puzzle game that just needs more polish. The soundtrack is pleasant and brings needed atmosphere to the low-fidelity graphics, but the 2D sprites and art style is effective and it does what it needs to without distracting the player with bells and whistles. The gameplay, once you get to learn how to use items effectively, is satisfying. And managing an escape, even at the easiest prison, still gives you a sense of accomplishment. The use of a scoring system and online leaderboards will keep you coming back for more. My biggest complaint here is the lack of information given to the player. Once again, this is something that could be added on into the future, and if it weren't for that lack of information and needless frustration that it brings, The Escapist is a solid 4. But at its current state, I give The Escapist a 3.5 out of 5.